My name is Victoria Gamble, and this is my Assessing Learners video. OB and SAP define assessment as a process of collecting information about individuals or groups for the purpose of making decisions. There are various types of assessments that teachers use in order to determine the levels their students are at and how they can best teach them. On November 1st, I was able to observe a kindergarten classroom at Las Palomitas Elementary School in Indio, California. Thankfully, I was able to observe the teacher, students, and various assessments throughout the day. Shannon Rodriguez, the kindergarten teacher, has taught most elementary school grades and has been teaching at Las Palomitas for the past 13 years. Mrs. Rodriguez showed multiple examples of assessment strategies throughout the day, some formal and many informal. To begin the morning, she asked students to discuss the previous day and encouraged them to use full and complete sentences to get their thoughts across and to encourage speaking with good sentence structure. The students used whiteboards to show their proficiency in structuring sentences and spelling. She then had the classroom split up into 3 groups. The first group worked on worksheets that focused on the letter C and encouraged them to make their own letters. The next group completed a worksheet that had to do with the math and the number 0. The last group played on tablets, trying to work through a computer program which teaches them multiple subjects and concepts. While the kids were at their stations, she started to pull them aside 2 by 2 to start testing them, which would be considered a formal assessment. She tests both their reading and math comprehension skills by reading aloud word problems for the kids to solve. As she gives the children their test, she makes sure to repeat the question as much as possible, ensure her students are on the correct portion of the test, uses a folder to separate the 2 that are testing, and explains words that her students may not know. She also lets certain students who have problems focusing take their tests one at a time, and even covered the sections on the assessments that were not currently being tested on, so that students could pay more attention. Informal assessments, on the other hand, are designed to inform students' learning, integrated into day-to-day teaching and learning, and carried out different ways by the teachers. Mrs. Rodriguez told me everything in kindergarten is an informal assessment, and I could do nothing but agree with her. She continually checked their knowledge throughout the day on things they had learned in the morning and corrected them on many words and phrases that they would get wrong. When correcting the students, she would ask them if there was a better way to say their sentence, or if the word that they had just used was correct. Mrs. Rodriguez used multiple forms of assessment in her classroom. That day, yet 2 that were used the most were diagnostic assessments and formative assessments. Diagnostic assessments are formal tests used to evaluate a child's strengths and weaknesses in areas such as cognitive, academic language, and social functioning. This sort of assessment was most seen in the testing of her students on school standards. By giving each student their own assessment, she was able to figure out what they each needed help on and how to better help them on later assessments. Formative assessments were also seen in the classroom due to all the informal assessments that Mrs. Rodriguez was doing herself. Formative assessments are ones that the teacher does throughout the day to check students' understandings on the current topic. Formative assessments make it easier for teachers to think on ways they can help change their teaching style to help all students within the classroom. One example of this was in the classroom I observed when Mrs. Rodriguez assessed her students and soon realized that they were not able to concentrate enough by simply speaking about their previous day. So she had them get on whiteboards and write down the sentences they had discussed earlier. While I do agree with Mrs. Rodriguez on the importance of informal assessments in the classroom, I would have rather done my formal assessments one-on-one with my students, as well as included more passive assessments, which include children looking at their previous scores and seeing the ways that they have improved and how they can still improve. One way I agree with her assessments was when she altered them to fit each child she tested. In one case, she connected the problem to the student to enhance their understanding and then praised them on their good testing skills. One dominant test theory that I would have used in the classroom is item response theory, which is an individual method of assessment and bases the students' scores on the arithmetic product of their ability on an item or item difficulty. This theory of assessment takes into account a student's autonomy and focus on their own skill level and ability. This testing theory can help teachers tailor their lessons to each student so that they have an easier time understanding the concepts. Overall, this experience was a very positive one, as I was able to learn about various assessments, but also have fun in a classroom environment. This assignment was able to teach me just how important informal testing is, especially in lower grades. Assignment and experience also gave me many new ideas on ways and theories I can use when testing my future students. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.